You were not born in a hospital. You were born on a dirt floor in a village that had no name. Year 1142. Japan, your mother screamed once. Then silence. That was considered weakness in your family. Your father was a warrior. His father was a warrior. His father before that was a warrior. You had no choice in the matter. The sword chose you before you could walk. At age 5, your training began. Not with a sword, with a wooden stick. Your sensei hit your knuckles every morning until they bled. Then he made you write calligraphy with those same hands. Discipline of the mind. Discipline of the body. No difference. Your breakfast was rice. Your lunch was rice. Your dinner was rice with a single piece of dried fish, if you were lucky. You ate in silence. Speaking at meals was forbidden. At age 7, you were separated from your mother forever. No tears, crying was for farmers. You were taken to the dojo, a wooden building that smelled like sweat and old blood. This was your home now. Bakken, the wooden training sword, 12 inches shorter than a real katana. You swung it 10,000 times a day. Your shoulders stopped working after week 1. You swung it 10,000 more times the next day. Your sensei said if it hurts, you are doing it correctly. Age 10, first time you held a real katana. The blade was 60 centimeters of folded steel. It took a master swordsmith 2 years and 1,000 hammer strikes to make it. It weighed 1.2 kilograms. In your 10-year-old hands, it felt like a mountain. The katana had a soul. This was not a metaphor. This was a fact. You were taught to bow to your sword every morning, to clean it with rice paper every night, to never let the blade touch the ground. If you dropped it, you would spend the next 3 days not sleeping. Bushido, 8 virtues: righteousness, courage, benevolence, respect, honesty, honor, loyalty, self-control. You memorized them before you could multiply numbers. You would spend your entire life failing at most of them. Nobody told you that part. Age 13, your first real sparring match. Not with a wooden sword, with live blades wrapped in leather. Your opponent was 16. He broke your nose in 4 seconds. You stood back up. He broke it again. You stood back up again. Your sensei nodded once. That nod was the greatest compliment of your life. Your armor, 20 kilograms of lacquered iron and leather plates. In summer, you wore a furnace. In winter, the metal froze to your skin in the morning. Putting on armor took 40 minutes. Taking it off took another 40. You wore it 16 hours a day during campaign season. Your lord was called a daimyo. He owned everything. Your sword, your horse, your life, your death. You swore an oath to him more binding than marriage, more permanent than blood. If he told you to walk into a burning building, you asked which door. Japan, year 1160. The Genpei War between the Taira clan and the Minamoto clan. You were 18 years old. You had been training for 13 years. Your hands had permanent calluses. You were ready. First battle. Chaos was not a strong enough word. 1,000 men on each side. Arrows flew so thick, they darkened the sun for 3 seconds. Steel on steel, horses screaming. Men calling for their mothers. The arrows, Japanese arrowheads, were 4 inches of forged iron. They punched through standard armor at 100 meters. Your armor was not standard. You paid extra. Good decision. Your first kill, you do not remember his face. You remember his sandals. Brown leather. 1 strap broken. A man with broken sandals died for his lord that day, just like you almost died for yours. War makes everyone equal very briefly. After battle came the ritual. Identification of enemy heads. You presented the severed head of an enemy samurai to your lord. He inspected it. Nodded, your status went up. You tried not to think about the broken sandal. Food in the field. Dried rice balls wrapped in seaweed. You ate them cold because fires gave away positions. Water from streams that you hoped were clean. They were not always clean. Half your unit died from bad water before they died from anything else. Dysentery, the invisible killer of every ancient army. You lost 6 kilograms in 1 week. You fought a battle anyway. You won. You have no memory of it. Your horse was not a pet. Your horse was a weapon. A Japanese war horse stood 1.3 meters tall, faster than European horses. Meaner, yours had a habit of biting anyone who walked behind it. You named him nothing. Naming him would have made losing him harder. Age 22. A promotion. You were now a senior samurai with 2 servants and a small stipend of rice. You celebrated with an extra piece of dried fish. That was the celebration. Now we pause. In the modern world, you do not fight with swords. You fight with deadlines. Your armor is a dress shirt that never fits right. Your daimyo is a manager who has never read Bushido in his life. But if you want to perform like a warrior in the digital age, then you need the right equipment. Our sponsor today understands that philosophy. After the break, your story continues. And it gets much worse. In a fascinating way. Your lord lost a political battle. Not a real battle. A political one. He was removed from power. His lands were taken. His samurai were now masterless. You were now something that had no good translation in English. Ronin, a wave man. Adrift, homeless. A sword with no purpose. Being a Ronin was the samurai equivalent of being publicly fired and having everyone watch. Other samurai looked away when you passed. Farmers whispered. Children stared. You had your skills. You had your sword. You had absolutely nothing else. Ronin options. 1. Find a new lord. Difficult. No lord wanted another man's discarded warrior. 2. Become a mercenary. Profitable, dishonorable. 3. Open a dojo and teach children to hit each other with sticks. This paid almost nothing. You chose option 3. Your stomach regretted this immediately. Teaching children was harder than fighting adults. Children had no fear. No discipline. One student stabbed another with a practice sword on the first day. You sent a letter of apology to the parents. This was a new low. Year 1178. The Minamoto clan won the war. New order, new opportunities. Someone remembered your record. 12 confirmed kills. 0 retreats. 1 incident with bad water that was never discussed again. New lord, new oath. The ceremony lasted 3 hours. You kneeled on cold stone the entire time. You stood up through pure will. Your new lord nodded. You had a master again. A duel, year 1181. A rival samurai challenged you publicly. Refusing was not possible. Refusing meant your lord lost face. Your lord losing face meant you losing everything. The duel location. A garden, cherry blossoms falling. Beautiful, absurd. 2 men trying to kill each other under falling flowers. The duel lasted 11 seconds. He was faster than you expected. You were calmer than he expected. Calm won. It usually does. Your wound, a cut across your left forearm. 7 centimeters long. You packed it with ash to stop the bleeding. No stitches, no anesthetic. You clenched your teeth and thought about rice. You do not know why you thought about rice. You just did. By age 30, your body was a museum of damage. Left knee destroyed from years of deep kneeling. 3 fingers on your right hand, permanently crooked. A scar on your neck from an arrow that missed the important parts by 2 centimeters. Your teeth were mostly gone. Meditation every morning before training. 30 minutes of complete stillness. After age 25, this caused genuine medical problems in your knees. You sat anyway. Pain was just information. You did not have to act on it. Age 38, you retired. Not by choice. Your sword arm developed a tremor. Small, almost invisible. But a tremor was a death sentence in your profession. Your lord granted you a small plot of land. You grew vegetables. The vegetables were not good. You had not trained for this. A farmer neighbor offered to help. You refused twice out of pride. You accepted on the third offer. The farmer knew more than you about staying alive peacefully. This was humbling. Now let us count what actually happened to you. Battles survived. 14. Battles where you definitely should have died. 4. Meals of rice eaten in your lifetime. Approximately 43,000. Every single one of them in silence. Times you cleaned your katana. Every single night for 30 years. Over 10,000 times. The blade outlasted everyone who carried it. Number of students who became real samurai. 3. Out of 37. The rest became farmers, merchants, and one became a surprisingly successful maker of wooden sandals. The myth, samurai were noble warriors living by an unbreakable code of honor. The reality, you lied twice to your lord. Once to protect a friend. Once to protect yourself. You are not proud of the second time. The myth, samurai died gloriously in battle. The reality, you died in your vegetable garden. Quietly on a Tuesday. The radishes had finally started coming in straight. It was not the death anyone would write a poem about. It was, however, a death that came to a man who had done everything that was asked of him. Your katana was passed to your eldest son. He became an accountant. He kept the sword on his wall and never touched it. The sword that took 2 years to make and carried your entire life collected dust next to a scroll about tax records. But here is what actually happened. The way you held the sword changed how people hold things for 900 years. The way you bowed changed how an entire culture greets each other. The way you endured changed what the word endurance means. You were not a myth. You were not a movie. You were a man who woke up before dawn every day for 30 years and did something incredibly difficult because he had promised he would. That is all. That is enough. In the next episode, you are a Viking. And it is even colder. If you watch to the end, you're no longer the same as you were at the beginning. Like it if the story resonated with you, subscribe. There are still many people to come, people no one has made a film about.